Alright, so it's been about half a year since John Cena retired from the sport of professional wrestling, and for some reason, I've been thinking a lot about his place in the world of wrestling and the pantheon of all the greats. Cena is one of the most divisive figures in wrestling history, partly because he represents what most people would consider the worst era of WWE. His in-ring work has been criticized as boring, but honestly, I couldn't disagree more. Cena is one of the most raw, charismatic, and interesting in-ring workers of all time. He has both very strong strengths as well as very weak weaknesses. So instead of going through his entire career like I've done in the past with Edge and Christopher Daniels, I thought a more fitting way to examine his legacy would be by going through not only his best matches, but his worst, and we will be going in chronological order with 10 highlights and 5 lowlights. Against chronological order, so it's not ranked or anything. So number 1 match isn't better than the number 10 or whatever. I like to keep things relatively positive on here, so we're going to discuss the lowlights first. Number 5 worst versus Randy Orton at WWE Unforgiven 2007. John Cena's run from 2006 through 2007 is what I would consider his first true peak. During this run, Cena established himself as an underdog babyface ace figure, outlasting opponents much stronger, smarter, and more skilled than him with his raw grit and heart. The work is less polished and sometimes a bit sloppy, but that's kind of part of the charm for me, and it's something we'll be talking about later in the video. This peak would come to a crashing halt at Unforgiven 2007 against his forever rival, Randy Orton. This is the only Orton match I have on the lowlights or highlights list, which will make some people mad, but these two just never clicked for me as opponents. There are some highlights in 2009 with their Iron Man and I Quit matches being some fun sports entertainment nonsense. But those are just two lifeboats in a sea of slow and boring WWE-style main events. Unforgiven is only their second major match together, and even before Cena is injured, it's just kind of sloppy and not well worked. It's trying to make Cena seem like a badass hero seeking revenge against the cowardly Orton, but Cena's performance is just kind of cringe. Cena is always balancing the line between one of the most compelling sellers of all time and the type of overacting that makes you want to hide the fact you're a wrestling fan from your coworkers. It's just way too over the top and kills any emotional core they try to build. Oh, and then 7 minutes after the match, 7 minutes into the match, it ends on a DQ, on a pay-per-view that people paid $50 for. God damn, WWE has always been bad, hasn't it? Number 4 worst versus The Miz, WrestleMania 27. Cut forward 3.5 years, and Cena would be in a very different position. No longer the young, fresh, and energetic champ, he's now the established franchise player, the face of the merch-selling and Make-A-Wish granting machine he would be for the rest of his career. However, the problem is that Cena still at this point wrestles like a young punk, getting worked over for 90% of the match before firing back with his comeback, which by 2011 just didn't match his role in the WWE ecosystem. So what we get at WrestleMania 27 is The Miz, who is the furthest thing you can imagine from a mat technician, working over Cena while a stadium of people just kinda sit on their hands waiting for The Rock to come out. It's worked like a TV match with lifeless heat segments and the same Cena 5 moves of doom fans had grown sick of. One of the clearest signs that Cena needed to change as a performer. Number 3 worst versus John Laurinaitis at Over the Limit 2012. This match main evented over Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship. That's fucking brutal, dude. This entry has much more to do with WWE being a hellscape creatively than John being bad. Johnny Ace used to be a solid pro wrestler, being a good hand in the All Japan Pro Wrestling tag division of the 90s during the King's Road era. Now he's an old man, and Cena is stuck doing WWE comedy with. It's just Cena beating up an old guy for 17 whole minutes, longer than the Miz match, and that main evented WrestleMania. It is baffling that this match happened, baffling that it went so long, and baffling that Johnny Ace wins after interference from The Big Show, because 2010's WWE is my own personal hell. Number 2 worst versus Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania 41 Night 2. 13 years after our last match, and this time Cena is the old man, and honestly, it's not much better. Cena as a heel was an interesting experiment going into his retirement run, but the problem is that eventually the bell has to ring. Now, Cena as a heel in 2003 was actually pretty good. His brawl-heavy style and big goofy selling works well when he's the foil to some more badass baby faces, stooging for the likes of Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. But 20 years later, all that young energy that defined his ruthless aggression run has been replaced with slow, sloppy control segments. Cena spends most of the match on top, meaning there's a lot of bad-looking stomps and limp arrest holds. It's just kind of sad because Cena clearly looks kind of lost playing the heel, and it just never feels right. Cena's last Mania match ends on one of the lowest points in his career. Number 1 worst versus Brock Lesnar, WrestlePalooza 2025. This one match might sum up everything terrible about the WWE. The greed to even bring Brock back to the company, the pandering to nostalgia, and the inability to understand what makes their successes work in the first place. Cena versus Brock in their last match just do a repeat of their 2014 squash match. The 2014 match felt special because there was something new and fresh, where their 2025 edition just did the same thing again 11 years later, with both guys past their physical peaks, and without any of the circumstances that made the first match good. Absolute dogshit booking, and just in general a bad match. Now that we got that negativity out, let's go over John Cena's best matches, starting with versus Kurt Angle, No Way Out 2005. John Cena's first opponent in WWE was also his first great match 3 years later. They tell such a simple story, but it's one perfect for both their characters. Angle completely out-wrestles Cena on every level, but it's John's toughness that keeps him in the fight, being able to eventually fight back, leading to Kurt getting more aggressive, targeting the leg, serving as another thing Cena has to overcome. Cena puts together an incredible selling performance here. I don't usually associate Cena with limb selling, but he sells his leg excellently, and Kurt does most of the work in walking Cena through sort of his last big test before he would be given the keys to the kingdom at WrestleMania, winning the WWE title. Number 9, versus Edge in a TLC match at Unforgiven 2006. The Edge versus Cena rivalry is everything that the Orton rivalry should be. Both men have incredible chemistry and play the babyface heel dynamic as good as anyone. It's a TLC match, so it lives and dies by the big moments, and everything is executed well. They don't make the setups obvious, which helps make the spots feel natural instead of contrived. Edge has always been a master at these big, elaborate TLC matches, and the final moments are the perfect ending to what was probably the best rivalry in all of pro wrestling in the year 2006. Number 8, versus Umaga, Royal Rumble 2007. This is my second favorite John Cena match of his career. It holds up incredibly well, and Cena plays the underdog role trying to slay the monster better than maybe anyone. His acting and selling is perfect, a great amount of over-the-top facial expressions without ever becoming cheesy or cringe. There's a rare Cena blade job that just adds even more drama. The match is paced perfectly with every comeback and cutoff coming at the exact right moment to increase the drama. This is probably my favorite match from Cena's first run, sort of pre-2007 injury. Number 7, versus Shawn Michaels, Raw 2007. 55 minutes. Cena and Shawn go 55 minutes, and it's somehow great. It really shows the talent of both men to put on this level of a Broadway match in 2007 WWE. Cena comes out as the aggressive young guy after beating Shawn at WrestleMania a few weeks back. Cena even targets the injured back of Shawn. He basically plays the heel in this match, but does it in a way that doesn't ruin his character. He's still a good guy, just kind of being more of the dominant aggressor in the match. I love how they're able to slowly build the stakes of the match without feeling like they're stalling, trying to, drag out the time. For a guy often considered low on work rate ability, having a nearly hour-long banger on free TV, that's a pretty good boost for him as one of the GOATs. Number 6, versus CM Punk Money in the Bank 2011. This is the big one. A lot of people give this match 5 stars. I think Dave Meltzer did as well. And while I don't think it quite reaches that mark, its greatness is undeniable. This match kind of kickstarted the back half of Cena's career after a few years of him not being bad, but just kind of boring. This match helped evolve Cena from an underdog brawler to a big match ace figure for the WWE. The big factor is obviously the hot Chicago crowd that didn't just want but need Cena to lose. But what's interesting is that instead of leaning into the crowd dynamic like he did in matches with Rob Van Dam in 2006 and Shawn Michaels in 2007, Cena instead almost defiantly maintains his role as face. These two are just excellent at playing off a crowd and structuring their matches. It's a lightning in a bottle moment that can't just be easily replicated. Punk gets the majority of the credit, which makes sense as it's his big moment, but Cena deserves some as well. He's like the stoic sort of mountain that seems almost impossible for Punk to overcome, which only makes the big title change that much more satisfying. Number 5, versus Brock Lesnar 2012. This is definitely my favorite John Cena match of all time. I absolutely love this one and find it one of the easiest matches to go back and watch of any wrestler of any time period, any promotion. I absolutely love the first few spots of the match, which see Cena rushing in like the big cocky idiot he is, and immediately getting taken down and pounded on, which instantly establishes the dynamic going forward, as well as Brock's post-UFC character. Cena bleeds, which is extremely rare for him, especially in the PG era. Lesnar is such a charismatic threat to Cena with his raw, angry, almost like bear-like energy. But what I love about this match is that the thing that allows Cena to survive and eventually win in the end is the no DQ stipulation. Since Brock hadn't wrestled a pro wrestling match in 8 years, and that includes obviously any no disqualification matches, any weapons introduced or used end up poorly for him. He leaps right into a chain shot, and the stairs he introduces are used in the end to beat him. The result gets criticism from fans, and while I understand it not being the right call at the time, having your big monster defeated in his first match, if you just view it as its own thing, it's genuinely a 5-star classic, one of my absolute all-time favorite matches. Number 4, versus CM Punk, Monday Night Raw 2013. This is the wrestling nerd's choice for the best Cena and CM Punk match. I mean, come on, there's a goddamn pile driver spot in 2013 WWE. That's crazy. It feels like the ultimate escalation of John's best rivalry. The chain wrestling at the beginning was equal parts crisp as well as real and gritty, which is insane to see from a John Cena match. Then when we do get the big spots, they all hit their target perfectly, with Cena even busting out a Hurricanrana. This makes the match one of Cena's most ambitious in his catalog, and has a solid case for being the greatest TV wrestling match of all time. Between the submission exchanges, the pacing, the selling, this match is a masterclass, and along with the Lesnar 2012 match, the Umaga 2007, and our next entry, this is one of the 4 John Cena matches I would genuinely give the full 5 stars to. Along with number 3, versus Daniel Bryan, SummerSlam 2013. Around the early to mid-2010s, Cena would respond to the "you can't wrestle" chants thrown at him by essentially trying his best to mimic the style of the Ring of Honor and PWG super indie style, and honestly, it's not usually my favorite tendency of his. There's some good work with guys like Sami Zayn and Cesaro, but sometimes it comes off as just kind of sloppy and uninteresting. It's not what I want from a John Cena match. But this match works for me for 2 reasons. Number one, Bryan Danielson is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. And number two, the narrative crafted in here is one of my favorite Cena performances I've ever watched. He's been a lot of things in his career: the cocky young punk, the underdog main eventer, the dominant world champ. But this match has him play a role we've never seen from him before. At SummerSlam 2013, Big Match John was insecure. For the first time, it feels like there truly is a successor to Cena's spot as the company's top babyface. Because there's an authenticity and heart to Bryan's work that's just undeniable. He also just straight up challenges the idea of Cena being a good wrestler with his sheer greatness. At a time when independent wrestling's biggest names were finally breaking into the mainstream, those criticisms carried more weight coming from Bryan than they ever could from someone like Triple H, or even guys that are seen as great wrestlers like Shawn Michaels or Kurt Angle. Ironically, it's Cena's attempt to answer those criticisms that cost him. He's a phenomenal wrestler, but in trying to meet an outside definition of great wrestling, he drifts away from what makes him good to begin with. He can work the mat, build around smart problem solving, and create drama through urgency. But as the match goes on, he increasingly plays Bryan's game, engaging in strike exchanges and, technical work and adopting elements of Bryan's style. That willingness to meet Bryan on his terms ultimately leads to his defeat, because while Cena is great, he's not the American Dragon. So what we end up getting is a beautiful, almost passing of the torch moment where Cena essentially beats himself by trying to mimic the next generation. I think it's a fucking incredible pro wrestling story, and Cena's last ever 5-star match. Number 2, versus Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble 2015. This is a bit of a weird one to put on a list like this, because Cena isn't really the focus of the match. That instead goes to Brock Lesnar being an insane freak athlete that could probably squash both men in singles matches, and Seth as the pet project of the company being groomed as their next top main event heel. But when watching the match, one gets the feeling that Cena is the one holding the whole thing together. It's one of my favorite triple threats from a company that's weirdly really fucking good at them. I mean, there's, when you actually look at it, insane amount of great WWE triple threats. Cena and Brock already have excellent energy, but you throw in the pre-knee injury Seth as this sort of rogue element to mix things up, and you just get a really fun watch where all three men play their role perfectly. It's almost like popcorn wrestling, You just want to watch it to feel something for a bit. And number 1, the last entry on our list, is versus AJ Styles 2016. Now, is this John Cena's last truly great match? Maybe? I think so. I really like the Gunther match, but there's plenty of criticisms that one has. And yeah, it just feels like I was destined, like I had to put a Styles match on here. And I feel like SummerSlam is their best work, as it's right before they kind of jump the shark in terms of the excessive kickouts and the big spots that would define their Royal Rumble match, and especially their Australia match they had in 2025. One of the biggest dream matches we've gotten. I remember vividly how excited I was for this match, even as a 10-year-old who, had never really watched AJ Styles outside of his brief WWE run, and but just knowing him as that guy on the internet that everyone loves from Japan. That aura definitely carries the match past some of its shortcomings and enhances its strengths. I feel less like Cena giving into the big super indie style and more like he's adapting to it. Like he's bringing that super indie style, meeting AJ at it, but then also bringing his own WWE main event sort of pacing that he's mastered throughout his career. It's 90% of my feelings of the match is soaked in nostalgia, which, I mean, yeah, but that's kind of what this project turned into for me. For all the little critiques I can throw at Cena as a performer, when it comes down to it, his brand of over-the-top selling, excellent pacing, and raw fighting spirit helped turn me into the die-hard wrestling fan I am. So is John Cena the GOAT? No, probably not. In fact, I don't think he will be in my top 50 for me if I actually wrote it down. but I think he'd be in the top 100. And out of the three wrestlers I've done these retrospective videos on, the other two being Christopher Daniels and Edge, I definitely think Cena's my favorite of the three. So, yeah, his work always seems sort of like it's like comfort food to me. He's almost like the evolved version of Hulk Hogan, not just because he's the biggest guy in the WWE for 10 years, but because he has such an understanding of how to narrow down wrestling to its like core emotional components. It's chicken soup for the soul for me. So, yeah, John Cena was pretty fucking good, and I'm glad that he's gotten the respect that he deserves. So, yeah, what wrestler do you want me to tackle next in my retrospective series? I definitely got two in mind that I want to do. But after that, it's pretty much free game. So go ahead, suggest some in the comments below. Bye.